Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. I can finally say that again, properly. The last couple of videos I couldn't say, I hope all of you are doing well because I just knew, myself, you, everyone, none of us were doing well. But today, we are doing well. Despite the result that you can see on the screen right here, it's not a great day in terms of 90 minutes of football. However, there's been a bigger goal achieved here. Today we have already won. Before this game, we already won. It's as simple as that. And the game in its context, which I'm going to go into, not fantastic by any means. Pretty flat, poor performance. Pretty much done nothing. Yeah, poor performance. Thomas Tuchel spoke after the game, and I thought I'd wait to see what he has to say to try and really understand the explanation, the reason that he gives for why we put on a performance like we did today. And as expected, like I said on my watch-along, I made it clear. The first half, I just knew these players just don't look settled. They look distracted. They look all over the place. Their heads are not in the game. You can just tell they're just not in the game. And I thought, all right, maybe they haven't heard. They haven't heard the news, you know, because just prior to the game, it was announced that Chelsea have left the European Super League and they've withdrawn. Straight after that, Man City decided to withdraw. Straight after that, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Immediately after that, Man United followed suit. And then since then, we've had a domino effect. Ed Woodward has resigned. Agnelli, there's rumours that he's resigned from Juventus, even though that's not confirmed. Perez is now in the middle of mayhem, doesn't know what to do. He's got an interview that he's meant to be doing today. Don't think he's doing it now. He's been in a meeting with the 12 other clubs, apparently, and there's just no development. They just don't know what to do. Like, the whole thing might have to be disbanded. Simple as that. And the protests that were happening outside of Stamford Bridge made Chelsea the focal point today. Fans outside of Stamford Bridge, many who I know, who I want to give credit to because I think it's deserved. This is a collective effort. Unfortunately, I wasn't there as much as I would have loved to go, and I really wanted to. It was just pretty much impossible with my scheduling and the fact that fasting is happening. The travel to make it back in time to break fast is just a bit too much for me personally. But I made sure I kept my eye on it. I saw who went. Fantastic amounts of people. Thogdad, Thogden were there. I got to give credit. Daniel Childs was there. Louis Beneventi was there. So son of Chelsea, Louis Beneventi. Rory Jennings. Rory was there. So there was a lot of personalities that you and me know on here who were there, as well as everyone else who attended. And boy, did they make the difference. We've all been shouting and screaming about what's been going on for the last 48 hours in relation to this European Super League. And the protest at Stamford Bridge was incredible, to the point where Petr Cech had to come out himself to speak with the fans and trying to reassure them, give it a bit of time, I'll sort it, give it some time. The fans didn't like that. Personally, I heard that at the time and I didn't like that. And I just thought, we don't have time. Withdraw. Simple as that. Just withdraw and this is over. Lo and behold, about 20 minutes later, we get the notification from a BBC journalist, and then all the other journalists start to let everyone know Chelsea have withdrawn from the Super League. And that's when everyone else started to follow suit, and the jubilation and the supporters going mental, and there's clips online of fans celebrating like Chelsea had scored the winner in the Champions League final. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and the scene that we haven't seen in ages, since probably before COVID began, you know. So it's really, really meaningful to see. I thought the players knew of all of that, and when they played that first half, I just thought maybe they don't actually know, maybe they're not aware, maybe they showed up to the stadium and they haven't heard the news. And then the second half was pretty much the same thing, except second half, despite the substitutions and despite what Thomas Tuchel tried to do, it was just fragmented. We changed into a formation we hadn't played before under Thomas Tuchel. We put players in positions that they just hadn't played there before. I mean, the whole thing was very scattered, very fragmented, no fluidity, and everyone's head just didn't look in it. It just didn't look in it. We started off the game with a weird lineup. Let's go over the lineup and then we'll break it down from there. So we started off with Kepa in goal. Obviously, possibly based on merit for the last game against Man City. Zuma, Christensen and Rudiger as the back three. So Azpilicueta on the bench. Reece James at right wing back. Alonso at left wing back, coming in for Ben Chilwell. Jorginho alongside Mason Mount. Mason Mount in a double pivot. So that's one. Ziyech, Havertz and Pulisic as the front three, with Havertz obviously as the false nine, main man up top. And that's where it was just a little bit weird, especially with Mason Mount in a double pivot, and it just didn't fit. It just didn't work. It just did not work. You can tell he's just not meant to belong in that area of the pitch. You know, he can happily come deep, but he doesn't belong as a double pivot. He belongs a little bit more forward, a little bit more offensive, in behind the strikers, being the link between a Jorginho or a Kante or a Kovacic and the forward men. You know, being that man that doesn't stop in that area, that's able to go and build attacks. And he wasn't able to do that because he was alongside Jorginho, having to sit. It just did not function. Ziyech was probably the only man that would come deep to try and retrieve the ball. And nothing clicked. Nothing worked. Later on, we switched the formation. We brought on Hudson-Odoi. We brought on Olivier Giroud. We brought on Timo Werner. But we tried to switch it all up with Hudson-Odoi shifting over to the right-hand side, which eventually later he shifted to the left-hand side. But we went to a 4-1-4-1, which is bizarre. Christensen at right-back. You know, I was looking at Christensen right-back, and I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Jorginho as the lone DM, and you can just see with him as the lone DM, he just needs the support of someone next to him, and especially as a team that likes to build out from the back. If we're building out from the back, we can't just rely on a one Jorginho. We need two. You need a double pivot. And especially with the style and the play that Jorginho likes to use, you need someone there. Because he's able to lay off and, you know, really rest on that other player as support. So if he receives the ball, he knows where his partner is. He's able to link, move, leave a defender or leave an attacker behind, leave his marker, basically. By himself, there's none of that. By himself, he gets the ball and he's looking immediately for an option. And that takes time and it slows the game down. And I felt like Thomas Tuchel just really got today wrong. Really got today wrong. And today wasn't the game to get it wrong, because you could see everyone's heads were just not in the game. You could just see everyone was completely unsettled. And I don't blame them. I don't don't necessarily blame Tuchel that much for the fact that he was trying something different to get through Brighton, because Brighton were sitting and containing and not really doing much, except for trying to look for the opportunity where they had a break and they hit the post. And you know, honestly, they could have won. They could have won, especially in that second half. They really could have. But it was a case of maybe Tuchel trying to experiment and try to find a solution as the game is going on. Because what he thought would work initially wasn't. And now I think it's safe to say it's just all of them, all the players, except for Jorginho. I would say except for Jorginho, because Jorginho looked like he was up for it, but he just looked like he didn't have options next to him. He didn't have the support. He didn't have someone to really bounce off. As we know that he likes to bounce off with Kante, he likes to bounce off with Kovacic, likes to bounce off with those players with a Mason Mount dropping deeper to provide an extra option. Wingers cutting back in or wing-backs cutting in to assist. Jorginho didn't really have any of that. It was just him alone in that DM role, especially in the 4-1-4-1. And it was just all over the place. So except for Jorginho being as active as he did, everyone else just looked slow, lethargic, just like not up for it, or not necessarily not up for it. It didn't look like they weren't up for it. It just looked like they were confused and they were baffled and they were just like, I don't know what to do. And you could just feel the atmosphere, and watching was just not normal. It just was not right. So I'm willing to cut slack, because as football players, with what they've been through, all of this over the last 48 hours has not been their fault at all. Not been their fault at all. And as a player, especially of one of the big six, they've been threatened with not being able to play for their countries again. They've been threatened with all sorts of possible sanctions and possibilities that might arise if Chelsea or City or any of the big six were to stick with this Super League plan. These players faced complete uncertainty and were told at the same time as us fans. Players and manager found out day before yesterday about what was going on, once it was already announced. I mean, you to that extent, you got to feel for them. You got to feel for that they've been thrown into this situation and they've had to deal with it. And especially if they kicked off the game without actually knowing and hearing the news that Chelsea had withdrawn, they're obviously going to go in with their heads a little bit messed up. So I'm willing to cut complete slack today. I'm willing to complete slack. And at the same time, we've managed, even with a draw, to put the situation in our hands. We are back in the top four. albeit it's on goal difference, but it's now in our hands. We play West Ham next, who are just below us. We can get a 3-point cushion if we beat them. And then after that, it's Real Madrid in the semi-final. It's Real Madrid in the semi-final. We were all looking at this game. Brighton today, Real Madrid semi-final. We were all looking at it yesterday and thinking, there's no point. There's no point. If we're buggering off to a European Super League, there's no point. We're not going to be fighting for top 4 because we're not going to be playing in the Champions League next season. So there's no point fighting for a place. And to hell, we might not even be in the Premier League next season. So there's no point playing all of these. It's just a friendly. And it felt like that. And going into this game at about 6 o'clock UK time, it still felt like a friendly. When all the fans were fuming outside the stadium, it felt like we're just going into this game. Players might not even get in the stadium because of the protests, but it doesn't really matter, whatever happens. And then the news came, and the whole thing just shifted. The whole thing just shifted. And even as a fan, me watching, even I felt a little bit like, am I living a dream? Like, what's going on? Does this game matter? Does it not? Like, I felt unsettled. So imagine what it's like for the players. And that's why I'm just cutting them slack. Thankfully now, as I've said, it's back in our hands. Top 4 is still there as an objective that we need to get. The Champions League now is back on. You know, next season, we will be playing in the Premier League. We will be playing in the Champions League, albeit if we get top 4 or we win it. So there are things to play for now, again. And now there's added motivation. There is added motivation because for beating West Ham, we get top 4, or at least we put ourselves in a good position. But the Real Madrid game against Florentino Perez's men himself, you know, that one individual that we can honestly get face to face with and wreck his team. Do you know what I mean? There's an added motivation now for the hell that everyone that's involved in football has been put through over the last 48 hours because of mainly this one man whose club we are facing in the semi-final. And that's next week. So bring it on. And that should be the added motivation now to get ourselves to the Champions League final. And then win the Champions League, fingers crossed, after possibly having been put in a Super League and abandoning the Champions League. We might go on to win the whole thing. It would be poetry if we could get it done. But we'll discuss more of that as it comes into next week. The next game is West Ham now on the weekend. That's going to be very, very interesting. And it's a big, big game now. So focus needs to come back. Players need to get their heads back in the game now. Everything's sorted, it seems. Everything's okay. Chelsea have left the European Super League. Manchester City have confirmed officially on their website that they have left the European Super League. Atletico Madrid have pulled out. All the English clubs have pulled out. Man United have definitely pulled out. Ed Woodward has resigned and he will be leaving his post at the end of the year, it seems like. So there's that. There's obviously other clubs that have been forced to make a move as well and withdraw. So the European Super League is dead. As far as I'm concerned, it's dead. Unless if Perez has one more card to play. We'll see what happens over the next 24 hours and we'll keep our eyes on it. But for now, for us, Chelsea, we know we are out of it. It's done. So order is restored. Order is restored. And I just want to end on this and say this last point. This movement that we've seen from football fans everywhere. This momentum that we have, it needs to continue. It doesn't end today. It doesn't end after this Super League is officially confirmed as dead. It doesn't end at that point. We now need to put pressure. Some clubs need to put pressure on their owners to leave and their boards to leave, like Man United. They want the Glazers out. Arsenal want the Kroenkes out. Tottenham possibly want Levi out. Man City don't have a problem with Sheikh Mansour. Chelsea fans like this, if Roman is listening, don't have a problem with Roman. So there are clubs with fans that have different objectives. Focus your attention on that. Sort yourselves out. But we need to come back together again to sort out UEFA and to sort out all of these federations and associations that have been taking us for mugs for years. And we've kind of just let it slide. And now all of this has brought it to the surface. We need to use that energy because UEFA are bad guys as well. And they were willing to try and replicate what the Super League were doing as a counter-attack tactic. You know, like, what? Beat money with more money, basically. So UEFA are not pure and we need the reform. These associations need to be reformed. On top of that, there needs to be a debate to the football clubs in this country that possibly need some level of fan ownership as well. So look, the pressure needs to continue. It does not stop here. That's what I want to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. Overall, today though, it's a good day for football. Football has been saved. Let me know your comments below. Thank you all so much. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Smash the subscribe button if you are new. And I will see all of you tomorrow for a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Look after yourselves. Take care. And peace.